We're going to go to the law right there from the horse's mouth. We're going to read the United States Code, which is a consolidation and codification by subject matter of the general and permanent laws of the United States government, okay? And this thing is prepared by the Office of the Law Revision Council of the United States House of Representatives. That's right. Congress publishes law. This is the official source of the law for lawyers, judges, always to follow. And Title 26 right here is the Internal Revenue Code. That's right. And I'm going to show you Title 26 right here. You see it in my hand. The real enchilada on paper. Yes. Over 10,000 pages of gobbledygook, tissue thin, tiny font. Hardly you can read this thing. Okay? I'm going to show you how they hid the definitions at the back so you don't read it and just be a slave without even noticing. Okay? So here it is, the U.S. Treasury regulations interpreting Internal Revenue Code says section part 1.1-1 income tax on individuals, that section 1 of the code. What are they talking about? Here it is, the Internal Revenue Code, the Bible of the IRS. This is what they are referring to right here. It imposes an income tax on the income of every individual who is a citizen or resident of the United States, okay? Now, we're going to talk about other stuff that doesn't matter right now. Let's focus on the United States, citizen residents, okay? And we go further down, by the way, in this thing. They give you a little more detail about all this stuff that we could talk another time. But in general, all citizens of the United States, wherever residents, okay, what does it say? Are liable to income taxes imposed by the code. Yes, but what does the United States mean? They don't tell you that. They let you assume it means you, when in law it doesn't mean you in the 50 states. Really. Take a look at the definitions. Not in section 1 or 2 or 3, hidden near the back. Section 7,701, toward the end, they hid the definition so you don't know. They hid the truth in plain sight. Okay? Here it is from Title 26, Internal Revenue Code. uscode.house.gov is the website. Chapter 79, definitions. Here it is. When used in this title, again, we're talking about Title 26, the Internal Revenue Code, right? They define many things that do not even need defining, but they want to define it anyways. Here we go down to A9 and 10, United States and states. Look at the term states. Shall be construed to include the District of Columbia, where such construction or understanding is necessary to carry out the provisions of this title. You need to understand this to probably follow the law. None of the 50 states are listed here. Do you see any of them? Florida, Texas, California? I don't. How about the United States? When used in a geographical sense, includes only the states, which we now know is state. By the way, something said plural and singular are automatically included. That's where the law is written, okay? So state and states are the same thing, okay? Includes D.C., basically. States is D.C. and District of Columbia again. Wow. So the United States is District of Columbia. United States citizen for tax purposes is a D.C. citizen. A citizen of the District of Columbia. I bet you were shocked to see that. You didn't know that, did you? Now you think, oh no, come on, Paymon. The 50 states are obviously included. It's assumed, it's clearly, everybody knows that. They're just adding District of Columbia to the 50 states. No, not according to the U.S. Supreme Court, as you see in a minute. But before here we go. This is Stenberg versus Carhart in your 2000 U.S. Supreme Court case. And it tells us when a law or statute includes an explicit definition, like the ones we saw, we must follow that definition even if it varies that term's ordinary meanings. Yeah. Whatever the ordinary meaning is, out the window. You got to go what the law says, and it is axiomatic, self-evident, obvious that the statutory or legal definition of the term excludes unstated meanings of that term. Something's not there, it's not there. The 50 states are not there in a definition, so it does not apply to people of the 50 states. Here's another one, Gould versus Gould. When it comes to taxes, this one's even more specific. This 1917 U.S. Supreme Court case, okay? Here it says that in their interpretation or understanding of statutes, laws, levying, or imposing taxes, it is established rule not to extend their provisions by implication or implying beyond the clear import of the language used, or to enlarge their operations so as to embrace or include matters not specifically pointed out. Yep. There's no implying, there's no assuming whatsoever unless clearly the language of the law shows and spells it out. That thing, person, or activity is not taxed. That's well-known, well-established rule of the U.S. Supreme Court when it comes to taxes, right? And in case of any doubt, the tax laws are construed most strongly against the government and in favor of the citizen not being taxed. Not just against the government, not just strongly against the government, but most strongly against the government. You cannot get any stronger than more strongly against the government. Yep. So that be the case. I'm going to show you just an example of how these laws are deliberately written correctly by Congress. Here to Title 26 again, we got Subchapter A, Tax on Petroleum. And here we have in Section 4,612, Definition and Special Rules for the purposes of this subchapter, which is what? Subchapter A, Tax on Petroleum. Let's go down, and the United States has its own unique definition. Here it is. United States means the 50 states. Whoa! Look at that. The 50 states are there. Mm-hmm. So is the District of Columbia, a bunch of U.S. territories and possessions, and even continental shelf areas and foreign trade zones, specifically listed. When Congress can tax something, they do. They never tax you because they cannot do it. It would be unconstitutional. The way the tax laws are written is completely constitutional. In the District of Columbia, where the federal government can make laws any way they want to. That's why January 6ers were kept in prison for months and months in violation of the speedy trial rights. Because in D.C., the Constitution does not apply. It was meant to be a military base for the federal government to defend America from England, try to take us back by force. So they said you could do whatever you want in D.C. It's not a state. Okay? That's covered in my other videos in more detail for you guys. But know this, okay? For you to be free, it is easy. You just gotta take it. It is that easy. I love for you to be free. I live a free life. Not filed income tax over 30 years. IRS has messed me. I've been on the criminal investigation for over 30 years, since 1994, and right now. They've never been able to put me in prison because I've broken no laws by not filing and paying federal income taxes. And you, my friends, can do the same if you just take a little time to educate yourself